Okay, well, thank you for staying for Science Sunday. As you know, it's usually the second Sunday of the month, but this time it's a special date because Anne's passing through from Chicago on the way to Baltimore, where she has a conference of orchestras and so on. So anyway, Anne started, she was born in Canada, in Toronto, and then she moved to Chicago for musical training, and she was playing professionally clarinet in various orchestras, and she was on the board of, she stopped doing that and then had various careers, but she was on the board of the Chicago Sinfonietta, and that's where I saw the first time the Holtz Planet Suite by this organization that did beautiful videos with it. And so that's, I met her at an intermission there. And so she co-founded this organization called KV265, which she will explain, putting together with an astronomer from the Adler Planetarium, José Francisco Salgado, who did beautiful videos to go with concerts. So anyway, I'll leave it to her to tell you how she got started on this. And please, if you have a question, wait for the microphone, and but you'll take questions during, right? Anne, use that microphone. It will work.
Oh, yeah. This is live. Okay. All right, you can hear me? Yes. Okay. All right, so, hey, are any classical music fans in the audience? Okay, what's KV265? This is your music question. What is KV265? Think music. Think Mozart. Good, good. 265 is, anybody know? It's the Kerschel number. All of Mozart's works were under the Kerschel system cataloged. And KV265 is the piano variations on the nursery rhyme that we know as Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. José Francisco Salgado, who I met and is one of my co-founders, was an astronomer at the Adler Planetarium, huge Mozart fan, so he named the organization. So we were founded in 2010, and the two co-founders were myself, Dr. Salgado, who is an astronomer at Adler Planetarium, and another astronomer at Adler Planetarium who is still there, Dr. Gay-Sejuk. And then we have a third astronomer on our board who is now at the NASA Space Flight Center, Dr. Mark Subarow. And we have added Michael Albrow to our science team as well. And so we have welcomed, so we now have a physicist active with us and helping with our educational programs and outreach. So we're founded in 2010. We now have 14 Science and Symphony productions, and these are films about science. And all of our films are produced by Dr. José Francisco Salgado, and he is an astronomer, but he really is an artist and a phenomenal photographer. So all of the ground-based photography in our productions is his original photography. And then we also use, for our space films, we use ESA images, NASA images, so on and so forth, as you will see. And we have had about 275 performances. Most recently in this area, we did 5 performances last month with the Baltimore Symphony. And we did our children's program, The Legend of the Northern Lights. And then a few years earlier, we performed at Wolf Trap with the National Symphony. So that's in this area. And we have reached about 500,000 people at this point. So these are a couple of quotes, and I'll bang through How much time do I have, by the way, Michael?
I'll give you 10 minutes.
Okay. Okay. This is a quote by Antonin Gaudi. Nothing is invented, for it's written in nature first. Originality consists of returning to the origin. Now, that's the nave of the Satyagraha Familia. And it's a beautiful image looking, actually, it's one of Jose's photographs, looking up at the nave. But basically, it's saying the greatest artist is nature, and about everything we seem to do in art is getting back to the origin, which is nature. And then the also famous quote by Isaac Asimov, there's an art to science, a science to art. The two are not enemies of each other, but different aspects of the whole. And we believe that's very true as well. And, whoops. We do concerts, educational outreach, and lectures and workshops. And we have educational guides that go with each of our films, too, that the orchestras can use. They can be posted online. Usually we do an educational talk, either a pre-concert talk, sometimes in-concert talk, And some orchestras have asked for a post-concert talk. And we like to partner with any city we go into. We like to partner with local science institutions and have them bring their educational materials over to the concert hall, which makes orchestra development and marketing departments very happy. And it also is great community engagement. And it helps with our educational outreach, because the whole raison d'etre we do this is to really try and get people excited about science in a very non-intimidating way. They go to the concert hall to hear great music, but they also, with our films, see great science as well. So you're going to have to use your imagination, because you have to imagine what these look like with the full symphony orchestra, big screen. So I'm just flipping through. This is a concert we did with the New World Symphony. And Boston Pops, we've worked with them a number of times. That's a commission we actually did for them. Oh, I'm putting the right. And that was in Mexico, Cervantino Festival. I'll just bang through these quickly. Monterrey, Mexico Festival. That's in Taiwan. We got picked up by UNESCO. 4 of our films have been picked up by UNESCO. And this was for the International Year of Astronomy, and we did a world tour with UNESCO. And that's in the main square in Taiwan. And, oh, okay. And this was a concert we did in Singapore in 2019. And the first film we did was The Planets, obviously, by Holst. And he wrote this between 1914 and 1917. And he really he did the planets. Pluto hadn't been discovered, obviously, let alone downgraded. And he really wrote this about the astrological aspects of the planets. And of course, the movements aren't in order of the planets either. I did have a violinist about 10 years ago unload on me about how dare we put visuals to this, because it was really the astrology he was most interested in. And I said, well, yeah, but I think if you actually see this film, you'll agree that it supports everything in the music. We use a lot of historical documents, because the Adler Planetarium has one of the largest collections called Works on Paper of historical documents in the world. And the other thing is, none of these images by NASA were available when Holst composed the music. I mean, this was composed more than 100 years ago, so we don't know what he would have done had these been available. I'd like to think he wouldn't have ignored them, but nevertheless, I hope he still would have composed this great music, because it is absolutely a beautiful suite of pieces. So I'm going to play Jupiter, one of the popular ones, the bringer of jollity, right now from The Planets. Oops, oh, that's another concert that we didn't, a few more concerts. Oh, and we recently did this, by the way, at the Science Gateway at CERN for the 2-piano version. Originally, Holst did it for 2 pianos and then later orchestrated it. So they didn't have a big enough stage for a full-size Holst orchestra, which you need a lot of players for this piece. So we did it with the original 2-piano version. There it goes. that was the Jupiter movement. So we're going to move on. And by the way, you saw 2 of the Galilean moons, but Jupiter now has, I believe it's 104 registered moons. They keep finding more moons of Jupiter. Yeah.
I have a question. Is the,
Sorry, can you wait for the microphone?
my question has to do with whether the actual color have been augmented or if those are spectrally correct.
Well, those were actual visuals of Io. You're talking about Io, and
Yes.
I think
Io
that
and
those are
Jupiter
actual
itself.
photographs that were taken by NASA. So I have to say, they may have enhanced the colors a little bit, but not that much.
Okay.
From the number of their space. I'm not sure if that was from Cassini or where that was from, but
We once had canals on Mars, and now you see roads crisscrossing on
yeah.
your...
That's. I'll ask Dr. Salgado because I'm as I said, I'm not the scientist. You know, we have a lot of scientists. I'm the music end of this one, so you have the B team here.
I think they weren't artificial, but they were enhanced for contrast. Yeah.
Yeah. One of our other works, the planets and this piece I'm about to show you were picked up by UNESCO for the International Year of Astronomy, and we did a world tour with them. And this is based off, oddly enough, the universe at an the pictures at Mussorgsky's pictures at an exhibition. Mussorgsky wrote this piece after his friend David Hartman, who was an artist in Russia, passed away very suddenly. And so he did in memoriam to him, he did a 10-movement piece that's divided up with 5 promenades. And the promenades are, you're supposed to be walking through an art gallery, and all the paintings on the wall are of his friends' paintings. Sadly, most of the paintings got lost to time, so we only have the titles, so we don't really know what a lot of the paintings look like. A few that have survived. In truth, Mussorgsky was a much better composer than Hartman was a painter. They're not all that good. But José, much to my surprise, decided when he was asked by the Sinfonietta to do another piece, he decided to do this Pictures at an Exhibition, which he calls the Universe at an Exhibition. And so you'll see, this is the ballet of the unhatched chicks, which he has a little bit of fun with the pillars of creation. And where stars are born. And inside, because this is a ballet of the unhatched chicks, inside the pillars of creation, which is part of the Eagle Nebula, and there's all this gas in that where stars are born, there's called expanding gas globules. Well, that spells eggs. So we have the pillars, the ballet of the unhatched chicks, and having some fun with the actual pillars of creation. Turn the volume up just a little bit. Very playful movement, and it's very, very cute. And then the finale, and I won't play it all, I'll just play a little bit of it, is he has a lot of fun with, well, the Great Gate of Kiev is actually a pulsar surrounding a black hole. So he has a lot of fun with some of this. And it's a beautiful movement. I'll just play a little bit of it so you get an idea. So we're going to move up to Yellowknife for the Northern Lights. And why Yellowknife? Well, we were working with the Canadian Space Agency because somebody asked, well, why did you work with the Canadian Space Agency? Why not NASA? And I said, well, the Northern Lights occur in the north, not in Miami. and although you may see them farther south because we're in what they call this 11-year cycle, and we're in solar prominence right now. And so the Northern Lights, the aurora oval where the Northern Lights typically occur is not static. It moves around. And when there's a lot, this 11-year cycle the sun goes into, where when the sun is most active, is at the peak of this 11-year cycle. In 25, 26, we were at the peak of that 11-year cycle. So you're seeing the Northern Lights moving farther south. But typically they happen way in the north or in the south. There's the aurora australis as well in the Southern Lights, but you don't hear as much of them because there's not a big land mass around there where people observe them in the south. So this is Yellowknife, and this is what dog walking looks like in Yellowknife. It's 20 below zero during the day, right about this. This was in March, we were there. This is an ice road. If you look at a map of Yellowknife, you'll see Yellowknife is very far north, and if you came from here, say, and you flew through, probably you'd fly either through Calgary or Edmonton, and then you fly 2.5 hours north of that, there is nothing, absolutely nothing but tundra. And tundra has full of lakes, so there's very few roads. And so if you look at a map up north, you'll see a lake, and you'll see a dotted line going across it. And the dotted line means that in the winter, it's a road, and it's an ice road. And I don't know, did you see the series Ice Road Truckers, anybody? Okay. Yeah. Okay, well, these are the ice roads the truckers are on. And there's two main industries, actually, in Yellowknife. It's diamond mining, and so that's what Ice Road Truckers are about, is during the winter, they try and get as many supplies as possible, because a diamond mine is actually on an island, and get as many supplies as possible while they can go across the ice roads, because other than that, you just can go in small planes. So, and they're checked by the government, and so we were out at night on the ice roads filming the Northern Lights, and this is dog walking in in Yellowknife. The dog's on the outside, the people are on the inside, everybody's happy. And and Yellowknife is a very interesting place. And why Yellowknife, too, is one of the best places, unknown to a lot of people, to see the Northern Lights, because it's a continental climate. It is on a lake, but it's not near like an ocean or something, because the biggest enemy to see the Northern Lights is cloud. The Northern Lights can be there, but they happen about 90 miles up. And so if you have any kind of cloud cover, they may be very active, but you can't see them. So it's a drier climate, it's a colder climate, and it's also right under the aurora oval, and you look straight up, and they cover the entire sky. So this is something that Jose does a lot of, which is science in a photograph. And so he talks about the different colors, and the colors are really the different gases that are being ignited by the Northern Lights. And then he gives you the different star clusters and so on within the same photograph that you can see. And this part I am going to read because I'm not a scientist, and Lord only knows I work with enough of them that if I get this wrong, I'm in big trouble. So, the Northern Lights begin with the sun and what we call the coronal mass ejection, CME. Sometimes the sun ejects a very large number of particles, electrons and protons, that flow to the Earth on what we call the solar wind, and a very small fraction encounter the Earth. When a solar storm comes toward us, some of the energy and small particles travel down the magnetic field lines at the north and south poles into the Earth's atmosphere. There the particles interact with gases in our atmosphere, resulting in the beautiful display of light and color called the Northern Lights. So, these are some of the prominences from the sun. You see Earth to scale. This is all sun images, as you can tell. This is the coronal mass ejections. These are stills from it. And this is visualization that is later on in the film called Solaris that I'll just show you, of the solar wind hitting Earth's magnetic field. And some of the particles getting trapped, and you can see up there and the north and south poles that the Northern Lights are occurring. So this piece is called Solaris. This next piece is about the sun, and it was composed by a Canadian composer by the name of John Astasio. He's an Order of Canada composer. And we had done another piece for children on the Northern Lights, and that got to be so popular, it's the one we just did with the Baltimore Symphony, that I was getting phone calls, well, can we do the Northern Lights without the children's story, because we want to put it on a Masterworks concert. And I said, no. You can't. It wouldn't work. So we decided to do one that was more for Masterworks concerts. And Jose put 3 pieces together by this composer in Canada, John Astasio. He'd written these 3 pieces, Solaris about the sun, which was actually written for a performance of the planets. It was a commission he was given. But he also had written Borealis and Wondrous Light, which are all about the Northern Lights. So we asked permission to put the 3 together, and he gave it, and we call it the Aurora Triptych. So I'm going to play you the movement Solaris, and this is all about the sun. And you're going to see the sun in many different aspects. You'll see the coronal mass ejections. And how much time do I have? Well, keeper of the flame. Okay. Okay, this is about 6 minutes. Are you bored with seeing films, or okay? Okay, then I'll play this. This is about 6 minutes long, and you'll see the sun, and you'll see at the end the visualization from NASA of the solar wind hitting the Earth's magnetic field. You will also see. You'll see the different light aspects. A lot of the astronomers study the sun and planets and that, using different light aspects. And so you'll see wavelengths, sorry, excuse me. The scientist corrects me. Wavelengths. And so you'll see some of that in this as well. Oh, and this is fun facts you can impress your friends. This piece happens to be 8 minutes and 20 seconds. What does 8 minutes and 20 seconds mean? Ah, she knows. What? Yeah, it's the time it takes a photon of light to leave the sun and hit the earth. And the composer made the piece exactly 8 minutes and 20 seconds. So by the time you see this piece, a photon of light left the sun and hits the earth. The 109 is the number of Earth disks that would fit across the sun, and 107 is a number of solar diameters that from the Earth to the sun. So those are, you can impress your friends and family with those great facts. There it goes. Okay. This is Wondrous Light, the second, the last movement of this triptych. This was our other Northern Lights one that follows a children's story. We premiered it at the Grant Park Symphony. We had like 32,000 show up over the 2 nights for that concert. And it's now being seen, that work has been seen by about 75,000 people. It's a charming thing. And this is the kind of gear that he talks to kids about. This is when he was photographing up at Alma, which is 16,500 feet, and all the new observatories are in the Andes Mountains in the Atacama Desert, because the astronomers want high and dry, because if they have any kind of atmosphere, it starts to interfere with their filming. And so, but it's so high that the astronomers have to go up with oxygen tanks. So when they work, they go up with the oxygen tanks. They actually sleep and stay at a lower altitude, so they don't get altitude sickness. But this is the gear he was going through, and he was working. He was the photo ambassador for the European Southern Observatory, and he was there filming before Alma opened up. And I got this angry phone call about 2 in the morning saying, and he was freezing because it's very cold up there. And the security people kept driving through his time-lapse sequences. He'd be out there all night, and they drive through it with their headlights on. And so he said, well, I don't know what to do. I said, well, call the European Observatory. I mean, these are their people. So he had to call back to Europe to tell the drivers at Alma, security people, to stop driving through Dr. Salgado's photographs. So anyway, that's sort of an amusing story, but yes, they're out all, when you go out, I've done enough filming trips with Jose that you work all night. And people think, oh, it sounds like fun. Well, it is fun. I enjoy it, but you get no sleep. So, and these are some of the education programs that we've done. That was something we did at the Contemporary Art Museum in Chicago. And we're talking about waves, sound waves. So the kids were blowing in their instruments into this oscillator that showed the shape of the wave. And this is the last piece I'll show you. This actually we're premiering with the National Symphony of Spain this Friday. So I'll be heading Wednesday to Spain, to Madrid. And we worked with sort of the equivalent to the National Science Foundation of Spain. We worked with them during the International Year of Astronomy, and we did a tour of about 10 cities of Spain. And they called us because there's 3 eclipses going across Spain this year. And August 12th is a total solar eclipse happening. And they asked for a commission and a whole series of concerts. So we have about 8 concerts in the next year with Spain, the first one starting with the National Symphony this Friday, and they're doing a series of our films. And this is by Joaquin Rodrigo. Classical music fans, what's he famous for? Guitar concertos, beautiful. He was in, the story behind this piece is he was in Houston. The Houston Symphony was doing one of his guitar concertos in the 1970s, and Walt Cunningham, the Apollo 7 astronaut, was a huge fan of his music. And so he invited Joaquin Rodrigo and his wife over to the Johnson Space Center for a tour. And because Joaquin Rodrigo, I don't know if you know this, he was blind from age 3 due to diphtheria. And yet he became this incredible composer. So we did actually a companion piece to this film, using Rodrigo's life as an inspiration, because he was a blind composer when there weren't many blind composers, and using excerpts from his music and so on. And there was a woman that did these photographs of planets and that with raised edges so that the blind people can have a feel for what the planets feel like on the surfaces. So we are premiering this piece on Friday. It's a beautiful piece. And when you think about it, here was a guy that was completely blind from age 3 and writes this beautiful music about space exploration, because the Houston Symphony commissioned him for their bicentennial to do a piece about space exploration, or excuse me, to do a piece, and he chose space exploration to do this. And you bear in mind, and we sent it, Joaquin Rodrigo is since deceased, but we worked with his daughter on this, who runs the foundation in Madrid. And one of the nicest compliments she gave after viewing the film is she said, "It was as though my father composed the music to your film, and what's more, he was completely blind." So.
¿Con qué gran música sueña Joaquín Rodrigo.
Pues con esa música imposible que dicen que producen los astros en su caminar sin fin por el espacio.
So we need to run. But anyway, any questions? We also, this was Liquify. I can show you just the beginning of that. But it's, any questions? This is a piece we did by Michael Abels about water. Yes?
Please wait for the microphone. Judy.
Not really a question, but a comment. Thank you, thank you. This
you're
was
welcome.
Wonderful. I so enjoyed it, and it makes me want to see more.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
And I'm wondering, you mentioned Wolf Trap at one point. Any chance you'd go back?
I hope so. Right now, National Symphony is in a bit of a quandary, so yeah. So. Yeah. Okay. Well, I was working with their education department, and then everything went awry, and he's no longer there, and they have a new so it's been quite.
My question was just how did you folks originally get all these images from NASA?
How did we get them? Anybody can get NASA images. Yeah, but Jose knows a lot. He's an astronomer. The astronomy group is pretty tight, so he calls them up, and like Mark Subarow, Dr. Subarow is one of our co-founders, or one of our astronomers. He said, you're some of the best users of our material, so they're very happy to work with us. And Jose will say, what is the latest images on this or that? And he calls them up, and he knows most of the people that run those departments.
Bob.
Yes.
I just want to say, I've enjoyed as we all have, your talk enormously here, and thank you so much for coming. And then I have a question which maybe an astronomer could answer better than you, but maybe, why is the aurora so green all the time?
It's because of the green gas. The green is usually on the bottom, and the red aurora is usually on the top. So you see more green, and it's depending on what the gas is, and also the strength of the solar wind coming from the sun. Because sometimes the auroras are super bright, sometimes they're less bright. When they're super bright, you see more of the other colors.
It's excitations of oxygen and nitrogen, different levels, yes. Jerry. Wait.
Will all this fine stuff ever be available on YouTube, or will this strictly be proprietary?
For the same reason I asked you not to film it. The recordings we don't have the money to get the rights to the recordings. We do this for live performances. So, but once you get into putting online, that gets into rebroadcast rights, and that's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for an orchestra copyright to do that. So if somebody wants to donate money for us to do that, we'd be happy to accept it and explore that. But right now, financially, it's not possible for us to do that.
I was going to announce this because usually, we put these things on YouTube. For this one, it won't be on YouTube straight away, but we hope to get it there. But the videos will have to be reduced to about 3 minutes maximum for copyright reasons.
Actually, 2.
2, okay, 2. Oh, 2, 3. Who's counting?
Copyright laws are very strict.
All right.
And we can't afford the lawsuit.
Thank you. I've enjoyed this very much.
You're welcome.
I'm just ruminating that it will be very interesting to see perhaps what gets paired with the latest space exploration adventure and the images that were sent back by the team.
Yeah, exactly. We don't seem to have any problem finding subject matter to deal with in science and as I said, liquefy. Any other questions?
Dan.
I don't mean to be difficult, but I've seen the aurora from Iceland, and it looks like white light, or at least maybe a little bit of yellow, and yet when I take a picture into the sky, it looks green.
That's because the camera captures a little more light than your eye does. So they're both real, but the camera tends to catch a little more light, or a little more of the green
but
image and a little more light than your eye does. That's why.
My quandary is that the peak sensitivity of the human eye is in green. So I would have thought that it would be green, but...
Well, I was there when we filmed all these auroras, and I can tell you, up in Yellowknife, we had a couple of wild nights there where the auroras were really, really bright. They were bright green, so so that it does occur. But you have to have it all based on space weather. As I said, sometimes the auroras are just soft and pretty and just sort of hanging there. You have a substorm move through, and they light up the whole sky. They are wild. So they're not a static thing. It's not like you get there and you turn on a switch and they appear. It's not like that. They're natural occurring subjects, and it's all based on what's coming from the sun.
Just one other comment, and I may have missed it, but the music by Mussorgsky is wonderful, but it's all for the piano, and it takes Maurice Ravel to turn it into.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
So you may have said that about
after his death, Ravel orchestrated it. But we have done the piano version of the Mussorgsky as well in smaller settings where it's not a big concert hall, but a smaller setting.
Yeah, if you see an aurora, if you take a picture with your camera, the colors come out great because it stacks the images, and that's okay. Shanti. By the way, I should introduce Shanti.
Yes.
Chandrasekhar. She's my artist collaborator. She does this amazing art.
She does absolutely beautiful art.
And right now there's an exhibition at the National Academy of Science of her art. 6th exhibition we've done together with my writing. It's going to be in DC until December at a different gallery. That's Shanti. So anyway, I think let's thank Anne for this great thing. Oh, you have a question?
This was just wonderful, and I was just like, I love music and I love art, right? And so the pairing, I've been curious, how does the pairing of the music and the images or the themes go?
How does the pairing?
The pairing of the music and
it depends. The whole piece was already composed, and so we were able to use that piece, and it's in public domain too. So Jose timed his pieces, and one of the reasons, because I'm a musician, one of the reasons I'm working with him is there's kind of a lot of not so great stuff out there, but he is so sensitive to the music. Everything supports the music, and he loves music. And he said it wouldn't make sense for him to do a piece that was not supporting the music. Like Legend of the Northern Lights and Moon Tides and so on, those pieces we had to, in case of Legend of the Northern Lights, the composer, we had to storyboard the piece out. How many minutes for this, how many minutes? Because the composer had to go back and compose the music. We had to go out and do the photography. The same thing with Moon Tides. We had to sort of storyboard things out and we were in 3 locations photographing moon tides, which is about the tides. So we have a whole piece about tides. And we had to go in the field and do the photography, and the composer, John Estacio, had to compose the music. We would meet, Jose would send some of the photography. In Legend of the Northern Lights, Chris Theophanidis is a composer for that piece, and he wanted to meet with us towards the end, a couple of months before we finished the video. He wanted to see the speed of the Northern Lights so he could do the finale at the speed of the Northern Lights for the tempo of the music. So it kind of is a little bit of give and take when there are new pieces that have been commissioned for that specific film.
How much does it cost to get a music composed per minute? How much do you pay a composer per minute?
For most, like Chris Theophanidis, John Estacio, that level of composer, it's about $2,000 a minute. So it's expensive.
Okay, let's thank Anna a lot for this beautiful presentation.